Hey guys, R4GE VipeRzZ here, and today I'm going to show you how you can regain access to a local account in Windows 10 that you have forgotten the password to. Now this will only work for local accounts, so if your account is linked to say Outlook or something like that, an online account, then this won't work, it will only work for local accounts. So for demonstration purposes, I'm going to pretend to have forgotten the password to this account here. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to reset the password on this account. So to do that, we're going to log into the built-in administrator that comes with Windows 10. And then once we're logged into that account, we can then reset the password of this account from it. Now, so to do that, we're going to need a Windows 10 installation USB. So I have mine here. So if you don't already have one, you can create one. All you need is a USB that is large enough and access to a computer that can run the software. If you want a guide on how to do it, there will be a link to a video in the description. And unfortunately, if you don't have access to a computer, as you have locked yourself out of your only one, then you're going to have to purchase one or get access to a computer that you can use to create yourself a Windows 10 installation USB. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to plug our installation USB into the computer. And then once the USB is plugged into the computer, we're then going to come down to the power options here. And once we've clicked it, we're then going to come to where it says restart. And then before we click restart, we're first going to hold down the shift key on the keyboard. And then we're going to click restart. So what this will do is this will boot us up into some more advanced options. And if you're lucky, you should have an option called use a device, where you can select the USB drive that you want to boot into. So if you have the use a device option, it would be around here. And all you would do is click on it, and then you should be able to see your USB device in the list. Now unfortunately on this computer I don't have that option, so what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to boot into the BIOS of the computer. So we're going to need to power the computer off, and then as soon as we turn it back on, we're going to need to press the appropriate key on the keyboard to boot up into the BIOS. Now for me that is the delete key, but for you it could be different depending on the computer that you're using. So you will need to research what key you need to press on startup to boot your computer into the BIOS. It will likely be something like F1, F2, F10 or delete. So to go into the BIOS, we're going to power off the PC. And then once it's powered off, we're then going to power it on. And then at the same time, we're going to press the key on the keyboard that we need to press to get into the BIOS. So for me, that is the delete key. So now we've got into this part in the BIOS for this HP laptop. What we need to do is we need to change the boot device options so that the PC will boot into the USB drive. So for me, I need to press F9 as that is the boot device options. However, you may need to search around your BIOS to find the boot order, as it may not be as simple as it is on this PC. And now I'm in the boot device options. I now need to select the USB. So it is the top one here. So if I select the USB, this is the Windows 10 installation USB that we have plugged in. It should then boot the computer into the Windows 10 installation USB. So now we've booted up into the Windows 10 USB, the first thing we need to do is we need to select our language, time and currency format and keyboard input, and then click next. Then you want to click repair your computer option down here. So then once you've clicked that, you then want to come to troubleshoot, and then you want to open up command prompt. So we're going to click on the command prompt option. And now the command prompt has opened, we're now going to type regedit. So that is REGEDIT. And then we're going to press enter, and that will open up the registry editor. Now in the registry editor, we're then going to select the folder called hkey_local_machine. And then once we have this folder selected, we're then going to click file, and then we're going to click load hive. So now what we need to do is we need to come to this PC, and then you need to find the drive that your Windows is installed to. So for me, that is the E drive, and you can tell this is the installation drive as this has the Windows folder in it. So once we've found the Windows folder, we're then going to open it up, and then inside we then need to find a folder named System32. And then inside the System32 folder, we then need to find a folder named config. And then inside the config folder, we then need to find a file named SAM. So that is SAM. And then we're going to select the file name SAM, and then we're going to click open. Now you can name this whatever you want, but I'm going to name it offline_temp. And then I'm going to click OK. So now I'm going to open up the folder called hkey_local_machine. and then you should be able to see the offline temp folder we just created. So now in here we're going to access the database of the local accounts. So to do that we're going to come into offline temp, then SAM, then domains, then account, then users, and then you need to find the folder that ends in 1F4. So as you can see, it is the top folder here, so that is 0000001F4. And then inside this folder, you should be able to see a file named F. So now we're going to open the F file up, and then we're going to use the arrow keys on the keyboard to come down to line 38. So as you can see, this is line 38 here. And we need to change the hex value from 11 to 10. So to do that, we're just going to press the delete key, and then we're just going to press 1 on the keyboard. And there you go, we've now changed it from 11 to 10. So that will activate the built-in administrator account. So that will take it from inactive to active so that we can then log into it. So now if we click OK, and then we collapse down the offline temp folder, and then we make sure we have the offline temp folder selected, and we come back to File, and then we click Unload Hive, and then we click Yes to that, and there we go, our changes have now been applied. So now if we close this window here, and we close this command prompt, and then if we select Continue, so now we will boot back up into the computer, and we should have the local administrator account activated. So if I press Enter, as you can see, we now have an administrator account here. So if we click on that, it will now log us in. Now, if you haven't logged into the administrator account before, it might take a while to set up, but once you've finished going through the setup process, you should be logged in like so. So now we've logged into the local administrator account, we're now going to click in the search bar, and we're going to type CMD. Then we're going to find command prompt, and we're going to right click on it, and we're going to click Run as Administrator. So now we've got the administrator command prompt open, we're now just going to type a command to show us the names of all the local accounts on the computer. So the command is net space users, and then we're going to press enter, and it now shows us all the accounts on our computer. So we want to find the name of the account that you don't know the password to. So for me, that is PC. Now you just need to type net space user, and then space, and then the name of the user. So for me, that is PC, and then space, and then an asterisk. So that is the shift key and 8, and then you want to press enter. So now it will come up asking you to type a password. Now when you're typing the password, you won't be able to see what you're typing. So you just have to make sure that you're typing the password the same each time. So this is going to be the password that is set for the account. So if I just set a password, and press enter, and then type the password the same again, and press enter, as you can see the command has been completed successfully. So if we come down to start, and then we come to our accounts, and then I try to sign into the PC account, and I enter the password that I entered into command prompt, and I press enter, as you can see it now logs me into the account. So there we go, we've now regained access to the account. Now before we finish, it's important that we deactivate the built-in administrator just for security reasons. So if we come back to the built-in administrator, now if your other account doesn't have administrator privileges, then you will need to run the next set of commands whilst logged into the administrator account. However, my other account has administrator privileges, so if I just sign out the administrator account, and then if I log back into PC, and if we now come and type CMD in the search bar, and again we right click on command prompt and we run it as administrator, and then again if we type net space users to find the users, and as you can see we have the administrator account. So what we're going to type is net space user space administrator space /active:no. So the /active:no will deactivate the account. So if I just press enter, it looks like I just need to fix my typos. And if I try again, as you can see, the command has been completed successfully. So if we come and have a look at the accounts that we can sign in on, as you can see, the administrator account is no longer there. So guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you liked it, don't forget the like button. If you disliked it, hit the dislike button. Subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you another time. Bye.